to this week's edition of the Pastor's Table. I'm Pastor Adam here at Walnut Grove Family Worship Center in Dawson Springs. And with me today is a guy that I'm real fortunate to call a friend. I've known him a lot of years. And Brother David was instrumental in my ministry. I remember one time he was down at Free Union, I believe it was. And when I was a teenager, and allowed me to come down and preach down there. You know, all the preachers through the years that allowed me in their pulpits has brought me to where I am today, and I'm very, very thankful for that. So we've got Pastor David Hoard with us from Union Temple General Baptist Church here, and you're still there, ain't you? You're still
Yes,
in
sir.
Temple?
12 years in April.
12 years.
Mm-hmm.
12 years. So out of all the churches you pastored, how many have you pastored? How many?
Wow. Let me think, brother. There's 1, 2, 3, I guess 4 altogether. It's kind of, let me back up here. I pastored first at Greenwood, just across the road from where we're at, and was there for a pretty good while. And then we left there. Actually went to a little church out in Caldwell County, Beach Grove.
Beach Grove, yeah.
Yep, pastored there. Then went to Free Union, where you were talking about. Back to Beach Grove just to help out for a little while. Then all the way to Barlow, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Not the end of the world, but you can see it from there. You know. So we were there for 4 or 5 years. Came back up home and helped with about 3 churches for a year there, just kind of helping out between the 3. And then we settled. One of those was Union Temple. All 3 were kind of looking for pastors, and that's where we felt like the Lord wanted us. And I'm kind of like Wendy Bagwell there. You know, he said one time, he said, I asked the Lord to make me the greatest gospel singer there was. And the Lord said, I'm not going to do it. He said, but I'll give you a crowd that don't know the difference. And so, you know, I'm sure not the best pastor in the world, but I think, you know, he gave me a crowd that don't know the difference or don't care what.
I feel about the same one here, right? Now, I see. Now, you mentioned Beach Grove.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember which time it was. I don't know if it was the second time or first time you did it when you had Buck Rambo down there.
Yeah, I don't remember either. Brother Buck came down and sang and actually preached for us. And
First time I ever met him was down there.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because you come and pick me up.
Okay. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I don't remember that. You know, that's a good thing about getting old. Sometimes you don't remember things and you just make things up. Nobody cares because you're old.
Yeah. That was a beautiful church inside. I remember.
It is. It's small, but it's it is. And good folks down there. We still go down there occasionally to have revival or special service, you know, and visit every now and then. I love to go around and visit.
They got a pastor down there that years ago I loved to hear preach. With Doug Stallings.
Yeah.
He come to Greenwood. We was there for a few years.
Yeah.
He come and preached over there. I really liked hearing him preach.
He does a good job. We went down one Sunday night and he asked me, I want to preach. I said, no, I came to get fed.
That's right.
And he did a great job. And I've known him like yourself for years. As a matter of fact, church, let me tell you this. I've known your pastor and for years. I mean, many years. I remember when he was just a little bitty kid. And look at him now, he's all grown up and he's a full-grown kid. We're still kids. My wife tells me, you know, she had to raise me when we got married. But anyway.
You got an aunt and uncle that's real influential in my life. Oriel and Carol.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Oh, Mercy, I tell you what, them two right there, they never know how much they mean to me.
Yeah, they love the Lord so much and love people so much.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Aunt Carolyn, she, you know, of course, plays the piano and sings, and they helped us so much when we were at Greenwood. We had Saturday night services then, and I mean, if you had 40 people, it was just, you know, wall to wall, seemed like.
Oh, yeah.
We had some of the best times. Some of the old timers were there. Of course, they were there. Galen, Gamble, and then I can't remember the other fellow that played the guitar. And I used to get tickled because they were playing, it sounded like sometimes, not always, I mean, they all were talented in their own right, but sometimes it sounded like they were playing 4 different songs in 7 different keys. And but they would sing, and they would sing till the glory come down.
Oh, yeah.
And man, I tell you what, you talk about like the sign out front of our church, this General Baptist, but I tell you what, we're just children.
That's right.
It's the Lord's house, and I tell everybody come in, you just worship the Spirit truth,
That's right.
and it'll be all right. We had a time over one night, I don't know if you ever knew Lewis Trotter.
Oh, yeah.
But Lewis was there that night. He's a distant cousin. Anybody from Christian County, I found out I'm kin to, you know. But I mean, and the way they had the pews sit there, Brother Bobby and them have kind of set them at an angle now, and you got a little bit more room.
Oh, okay.
But they were just straight up. There wasn't that much room against the wall, you know. And he got happy. And Sister Rose Maria, that was her name, or anyway, she was walking circles around the pulpit, around the altar, just praising the Lord. And all of a sudden, Lewis took off, and he ran 3 laps around that church between the wall and then pews back around there. And I knew it had to be the Lord because he had heard something or somebody. There's no way that he could have done that without, you know, being bruised and banged. And stuff. And boy, I tell you what, I miss those times. Those
was the times. When I got saved, was going to that church.
Really?
And Brother Bobby baptized me. We, of course, in the Baptist in the church.
No.
We had to go to Midway. And Brother Willett Walls, he was still pastoring and going strong down there Midway. Then and we used to pastor down there. And I was 10 years old.
Wow.
And my sister that passed away, Brother Bobby, he rededicated her back to the Lord there right before she passed away.
That's sweet.
So Bobby and Regina McKnight, they've been really, you know, influential in my life too. So it's been, you know, and I think back, and there's another one too I'm about to mention, and boy, I tell you what, every time I think about him, it just rips my heart out knowing he ain't with us no more. Brother Timmy Campbell.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I tell you what, that little fella was a farm dog. Absolutely farm. And I remember him too when he was real young, out at Yellow Ridge and stuff.
Yep.
And I've got a picture of him. And he's turned around and looked back at me like it. And I nicknamed him Barney. Yeah. Because he looked like Barney Fife to me. And I had more fun out of it. But I remember one time, and he wasn't pastoring. I hadn't been preaching real long, I don't think. But I woke up with a toothache. I mean, it was so bad I couldn't do it. And the dentist actually came in on Sunday to meet me to take care of it. I don't know what happened, but I woke up and it was just terrible. And got a hold of him. And boy, I mean, he was there like a minute, you know, to take care of him. And I don't mean to rattle on, but there's so many, like you're talking about, just like Uncle Al. He loved people so much. He still does, but his health's not, you know, not good now. But he would give somebody the shirt off of his back and help. And he always tried to find something good in somebody. Absolutely. And when I think of that, I think about Brother Will J. Campbell. I don't know if you ever Brother Campbell. Yes. But I remember one time we were trying to help out a little bit with Cedar Hill. Some of us trying to kind of, Brother Chip Van wanted to kind of get it going. Right. We were all helping, several of them had, and he was out there. I think you took me up there one time to Cedar Hill when it was open. Really? Oh, they have. You drove me, I went with you up there one time, you preached up there. Okay. I spent more time with you than I really realized now that I come to think about it. Let me tell you, y'all pray for me. I didn't realize it, but it was so much fun. So many of the old fellas were there. Brother James Foster. Oh, yes, you know, and different ones. And it was so funny, though, Brother Campbell, he was going to preach for us that night. And I had been talking to him, and I said something about it. I said, well, you know, I said, let him have it, Brother Campbell, just however long you want. He said, Brother David can't preach like I used to anymore. He said, about 15, 20 minutes about all I can do. He said, I used to go 40 minutes, an hour. And I said, well, maybe you're just getting smarter. And he said, what do you mean? And I said, well, maybe you're just getting so smart, it ain't taking you as long to say what you used to have to say. He just laughed, and he said, I don't think it's a problem. And the Spirit of the Lord hit that guy that night. He preached for 45 minutes solid. And the day that he died was his 86th birthday. And he'd been, they talked like in a coma. And all the kids were there and stuff. And they said he woke up out of the coma while the kids were there. And he told them, he said, children? And they said, yeah, what the heck? He said, I'm going to tell you. He said, if this is dying, he said, ain't nothing to it. And he wanted, they all started singing Amazing Grace together. And he started singing along with them. And he slipped back off into the coma and passed on that night. Oh. But I mean, isn't that neat how God's grace? He woke up telling me, hey, I mean, they knew where he was going, but for him to be able to wake up and tell us, hey, ain't nothing to this. I'm ready, you know. And then same with me. I tell you what a way. Did you ever know Brother T.H. Davis? A little bit, yeah. That Jerry Clower, if he had been a preacher. That is T.H. Davis. Absolutely. He preached one night down at Dobie's church. And that's another one, boy. Brother I call him Dobie. That's everybody knows about it. Brother Ollie Brandon, You know, he was the best friend to everybody. Oh, man. I considered him my best friend, you know. And I'm going to tell you what, to this day, that there's been things that have come up in my life, and y'all have to apologize, forgive me, but, you know, that we have to deal with, and things like, just kind of struggles and stuff. And, we call, we fuss and complain and grind, we cry on each other's shoulders stuff and share things with each other that maybe nobody else knows. But there are so many times that I miss him because I need him, you know, and, but you know, the Lord knows better than I do. And thank God I got the Holy Ghost inside, and you know, so I don't ever have to worry about being alone.
Amen.
Yeah. Brother John McCurry,
Oh, yes.
he said one night, this is a preacher marathon here, we're talking about preaching. But he said one night, he said he just felt like his prayers wasn't hitting the ceiling, you know, and he was just complaining. And told God, I don't feel like my prayers are going anywhere, they're just not even getting through the ceiling, you know. And he said, son, they don't have to hit the ceiling. He said, all they got to do is fall out of your mouth into your heart. He said, I'm right here. Oh,
Yeah.
you know.
All these preachers we're talking about is what has helped me where I am today. You know, and I can sit back and I can think about, you know, brother Dolby and Charles Bean and
Yeah.
you know, brother Charles. I could walk in that General Baptist church down here at any time. He'd say, "Go preach." And he'd always let me exercise my gift, and I'm so thankful for them preachers that had led the way and paved the way.
Oh yeah.
You know, for us to come in behind and grab a hold of the torch and carry on. And I'm like you know, I'm not the best pastor, not the best preacher, probably never will be. But, you know, I am what God has made me to be and is allowing me to be. And it's by these other preachers that passed on that has paved the way.
Yes.
You know.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, the thing is, Brother Adam, is you know, it'd be great to be able to preach like some of them. The younger ones that I've seen come up, and you know, I listen to you on there, you know, sometimes I'm like, I'd like to have none of that fire, you know. But then again, you're not supposed to preach like me. I'm not supposed to preach like you. We're supposed to preach like God calls us to preach. Sometimes our services are quiet, and then sometimes I don't think they can keep up with me.
Yeah.
Because I'm, you know, and it's just, it's what the Lord wants. There's some of the sweetest services I've been in. It's like the Spirit of the Lord is just sweet as honey. It's a gentle, calm, sweet spirit where the Lord is working.
Oh, yeah.
And then other times it's like he says, hey, let's party.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, you tear the place up.
That's
you know?
right.
And I like them both, you know. But it's so good that we know that he's always there.
Right.
I wish he wouldn't leave us. You know, and I told the church this, it's something I don't remember who it was that said this. If you stop and think about it, the most important person in this whole world, the most powerful person in this whole world right now, in this earth right now, the most influential, I mean, in the world, anywhere right now, is living inside the heart of every believer. It's the Holy Spirit that lives in. The most powerful God living inside us. We ain't God by no means, but he lives with us and within us.
So during this pandemic that we're dealing in, how has pastoring changed for you, or has it?
It has a lot, and I tell you what, we do a little a little skit, not skit, because it's a play. This is real, but we started doing a little bit on Facebook, and I got on YouTube I think once. I'm not real tech savvy, but was doing a feed on Facebook. We were doing a pre-recorded, and I did a couple live. We did actually one from the church, from the pulpit area, but a lot of them I did just kind of like what you're doing here. As a matter of fact, I even don't call mine the pastor's table, but I just call it across the table.
Yeah.
And what I do is I just sit down at the table and tell folks, hey, let's just talk a little bit.
Yeah.
And we'll pick a topic if the Lord's kind of given us or something out there, and we'll just take a few minutes. And the first one was just kind of brief, but I've enjoyed about it. Number one, the church folks are still able to see it, and you know, you're still able to communicate. But I've had people that are either searching for a church, hadn't been to church in a long time, maybe believe in the Lord, you know, but maybe drifted away from him and stuff, and people that I would never think would have commented on it, and I've actually had some very good conversations with them about the Lord, and it's been a witness, and now we've got some other people that are wanting to come to the church.
Yes.
And so I hope to get back to doing it. I missed a couple of weeks, but I hope to get back doing just something a little short. But then we did a Wednesday night Zoom Bible study. And so I'll tell you what, one of the good things out of this pandemic, and I think most folks will agree, is it got the church outside of the box.
Absolutely.
It finally got us doing what we probably should have been doing all along. You can't always go and knock on doors like they used to, but you can reach so many more people. I was kidding the church. I said, well, golly, when we do reopen, I said, I can take the next 2 months of Sundays off because I've already preached to more people in this one message than I have shows up. And was kidding them about that, but it's been good. And I know y'all have been doing a lot like that, and I really appreciate it because what I see you doing, I know you have your message, like you even have a couple songs before, and then Tamara does the dance, and the sign language with that, and that's really impressive. I've seen her do that a lot, and I always enjoyed it, but it hit me that one day I just looked at Jackie and I said, that's sign language she's doing for those songs. She said, yeah, it is. And I thought, man, just think of all the people that can't really hear the music, but they love the Lord. And then, or maybe they can even feel it. Maybe they can hear a little bit, but not fully. But even to be able to see the song brought forth in that sign language and in dance, it's a blessing. There's no telling how many people that'll reach and touch that, others that won't. And
before I actually started seeing the dancing in the church, Donnie Rimbaud, when she would sing, if you remember, she would sign to her songs.
Yes,
while she was singing. And I thought, the first time matter of fact, she was out here doing it, and I thought, that's got to be talent. You're focusing, you're trying to sing, but at the same time, you're signing. That's pure talent right there. That's like walking and chewing bubble gum at the same time. I'm not really sure if I could do that.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
But, we, you talking about reaching people, we've had people, matter of fact, just this past week, has contacted and said, hey, is Adam pastoring out there? Or, is Tamara, she doing the dance out there? And they're interested in what's going on. So, I've had 3 dreams since we've been closed that when we open back up, this church is back wall to wall. Now, Governor Andy might not like it, but that's all right.
Hey, I believe that's one thing. What God says trumps what anybody else says. It trumps what Trump says. It trumps what Andy says. Right. It trumps them all, and that's true. And during this, I've told folks, I said we can't live scared, but we can use common sense and be careful. I was so happy when the chiropractors opened back up, and that's one thing. Now, I'm not going to get into politics, but I still have trouble understanding why abortion clinics are open and chiropractors weren't. But anyway, I went over and my chiropractor, he just went back, and I told him, I said, man, I'm glad you're back, because one time before, I couldn't get into it for some reason or other, and I just went to a regular doctor, because it's just old age and kinks, lifting too much, not using it, over the years. But anyway, and God will take care of that any time. He does a whole lot as it is. But they got me in place, and I said, I went, and they gave me a muscle relaxer and anti-inflammatory, and told me to put ice on it. I said, the ice hurt. I said, I do well if I put a heat pad on it and sit on it for a long time. He said, listen to your body. And so that's what we need to do with this. We need to use common sense. I wear a mask a lot when I'm out, especially going into grocery stores or some places like that. Number one, out of respect for somebody that might, but also just, being cautious. But we see so many extremes. Some people are just really, really scared to death. Others are taking it so lightly that it's not, it's dangerous. And so we just have to do that.
And we see that in the church.
We do. And
people will take it to extreme, or they don't, they just live carelessly.
And I mean, we need to pray that the Lord will bring that unity back in. But our church, we started back. We're having no Sunday school because the Sunday school rooms are, small. And of course, the kids that would be back there are all brothers and sisters, so it might not hurt, But for the adults, it would be small. And so I told them, I said, unless you all want to have an adult class in the sanctuary, then what we'll do is we will do just a 10:30 Sunday morning service with just worship service. And we're not having the choir to sing, but Of course, we're small and we've got, several different little families, so all families are kind of in their groups where we're safe and we're not hugging and shaking hands and stuff. If you want to wear a mask, that's fine. If you don't, we have hand sanitizer, we have sanitizer to clean the bathroom, make sure that, of course, none of the kids, one of the kids do go, the adult goes to clean, but, so, we're doing that and keeping the distance, but when we do sing though, we still have specials, and then we sanitize the mic after each use, but our piano player, Sister Donna, she'll go up and play the piano stuff in the congregation. The ones that want to stand, the ones that don't, but we have the books that we're going to sing out of, and everybody just sings from their spot. So that's how we do our choir. We just, and it sounds good.
Of course, with us here, we don't have a music leader, so we've been having to use music videos on the TV screens, which, it's worked out fine. Until God sends somebody else, but.
Listen, God don't care if it's pre-recorded or live, he can still be in. Matter of fact, when I pastored full-time down in Barlow, Kentucky, we had it was one of the bigger churches I pastored, but it's nice, and they had a piano that someone had given the church that you could just play like a regular piano, but it also had a thing where you could play a CD, and what they would do is they recorded the songs, the piano player did that they sang, so if some reason or another she wasn't there, we could put that in, they could call the number and they could hit it and have the piano music and just sing like they normally would.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But like right now though, I'm gonna tell you what, we talking about video, the music, if it was anointed when it was done, the anointing will still be there.
Sure.
I've listened to some tapes of Jim Camplin from years back. I've listened to some live albums and stuff. And the anointing that is on that tape, when it's recorded, you play that 50 years from then, and that anointing is still there. People have been saved from a prayer that was prayed 20, 30 years ago.
Yes.
People over here, you and I can pray for somebody all the way around on the other side of the world, and it's instant.
Yes.
There's no time, there's no distance in prayer, and that's a neat thing about our God. It is.
We a few weeks ago now, but Tammy, when she went to UK, she had a girl that she went to school with up there that's in Russia now. I'm not sure what she's doing over there, but anyway, our service was shown in Russia.
Wow. Really? Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So how about that, folks? That's awesome.
Wow. Yeah, it was showed in Russia. So, God, and that just goes to show right there that, and I have learned through this pandemic that this building, we've got to get out of the mindset that this is the church.
Oh, yeah.
Because the church is beyond this. Your pulpit is beyond this.
Mm-hmm.
What we're doing right now is a pulpit.
Exactly.
So God has shown me, that's what I was going to ask you. During this, has God really showed you anything significant other than what you already knew? Have you heard anything new? Have you got any new revelation while you've been out of?
Wow, that's a good question, and that's a hard answer too. I mean, yes and no. I don't know how to explain it, but I always think I could read more, I could study more, I could do more. But there's been periods of time since this that you spend time with the Lord. Like I had the flu back at the first year, and it wasn't super bad or anything, but you're in for a week. And I don't know when I read my Bible so much, I had so much enjoyment. And I've got where now I either put on like a teaching video or something. Of course, I can't watch it and drive, but I listen to it or some type of music. Sometimes I want praise and worship. Sometimes something kind of like almost like a soaking music just to, I don't believe in running around going, but meditate on the Lord, meditate on His Word, and invite Him in. And I'll tell you what, there's sometimes, and I will say this, that, there's some ways that I've grown in the Lord. And one of the things that I've enjoyed a lot, and it seems like it's happened during this time, believe it or not. Of course, I think everybody's had more of a hunger to be back in church because they can't.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, driving down the road, and a lot of the stores that I cover are 1 hour to 2 hours away. So I put on something on Willis Tuesday, and it's been so much here lately. The Lord's, of course, spoke to me in some dreams, like what you said, but also it's like He'll put a song on my heart. I'm talking about one of the old ones. So not some of us are the newer ones, but a lot of times He'll put an old song that I hadn't thought of in years, and I may not know nothing but the chorus on it. But you just drive down the road and you kind of start singing that, and you get to thinking about it, and next thing you know, you can't hardly sing for crying. And listen, brother, the Lord will come in that corner and sit right down with you.
Absolutely.
And He may not be there but a minute, and He may be there for the ride. But whenever He's done that, I tell you what, I have had some of the best times along the Lord, going out to the church by myself and just taking time in prayer, and things. And but there's been so many things. The Lord's really blessed us. Like we went to a good revival over at Grace Warehouse.
Oh yeah.
You remember that one, Brother Eddie Cole, and then Brother Gary was having I think it was Tuesday night or Thursday night. They were having prayer service. It was just prayer.
Yeah, Tuesday night.
Tuesday night. Yeah, we went to that as much as we could, and man, you're talking about the presence of the Lord. It was it was set. I mean, and I mean you can enjoy the presence of the Lord in the middle of the cornfield as much as you can in the building here. But at the same time, though, sometimes it seems like the mood is right that when you come in for a little while, I think that's what's important about the church and coming into the building and gathering together, like the Bible tells us to, is for that little while, we can, if we will, forget about everything else and just keep your mind on the Lord. And I think that's the importance of that. But it's important too. Something the Bible talks about how the field is white and the harvest, and but the laborers are few. Well, I didn't know this till not too long ago. The best time to reap the harvest is when it's gold. When it's a golden grain on the tops, or the gold color. You can still reap it when it's white, but when it's white, it's almost too late. It's almost past the point of where the harvest can be reaped, that the crop's going to ruin if you don't get it soon. So, needless to say, the field is white and the harvest, but the laborers are few, and the Lord's telling us it's close. There's not a lot of time.
That's good.
We need to go now.
That's good.
And that's what this is doing.
That's good.
This is going out into the field.
Well, I knew you had something. Man, I was out to work this morning, and I was praying about the night, and I was listening to some music on the phone, and the Lord coming in the car. I began to cry, and I thought, Lord, I feel I got a good talk right now. I knew you had something.
I got them too.
Do it.
Yeah. Woo.
That's good. That's good right there. And I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've watched
We learn all the time.
farmers in the field, especially down at Trick County where I'm working at. That's the back of Central. You been down there lately?
Not in Trigg. I used to work in Christian County at Little River Ford.
Okay.
And I used to go up 109. I think speed limit was 80 back then. Anyway, and I'd be running up through there, and I'd go around a curve, and there would be Farmer Joe.
Yeah,
and he's going. Yeah, well, there's one guy had a truck, and I don't know how many times I run into him. And I thought, man, you ought to be checking your own bars. But he was looking at everybody else's car, running about 20 miles an hour. Laughing at those things then. I'm bad back then. There's no way, I gotta go. Well,
you hit 68 there going into Cadiz. And of course, it's back of farms and the fields are full. And now they've got wheat, I think, maybe out. But I've never really, I just say that I don't really pay attention to that.
I hadn't thought about that and didn't really understand it. And the field is white in the harvest, but the laborers are few. And I thought, my gosh, if we could just really learn more about that and things, there's so many things that the Lord's trying to tell us. And boy, if it was close when He told them, how close is it now?
Oh man.
And that's the reason it's important. I think what you're doing here, all of this, it needs to go on, even when the church is filled to capacity and people are coming in, because that person from Russia that saw it, I doubt she'd ever drive to Kentucky to come to service, but she can have church.
We've got plans to when we open back up that we're going to go live when the sermon starts.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, with the way the laws are with pre-recording video and everything, you can't really show them live or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, but when we start the preaching, we'll go live so everybody have a chance.
Yeah.
We'll change our service times to 2:00.
I saw that, yeah.
And that's, I done it for a reason, because we got some people from some other churches that, was coming at nighttime.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got some here that can't drive at nighttime. So I thought if I hit it, it's 2 o'clock, I can canvass everybody.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna try and see.
Well, we did that with our Sunday night services. We just missed it. We would have just so few that could come, and a lot of the elderly folks that could, just got to where they didn't feel like driving or couldn't see good. And so we have the Sunday morning service. We have the Bible study on Wednesday night, and I'm hoping we can do more, maybe some special services and stuff along. But we just. It was, at that time, of course, we've got new heaters and stuff in the church, and our expenses have gone down a lot. But at that time, we had one of the old gas furnaces, and it had some of the ceramic, had some cracks in it and stuff, and it really ran a whole lot more. And I told the church, I said, we're having to keep the church heated all day long, and nobody really hardly coming back in the evening. And it's helped our morning services, because a lot more people say to me seem to come to the morning because they know if they don't come, and I would love to have it back and bring it back, but for right now I think it's working, and that sounds like a great idea again, it's just like the probably listen to your body.
Yeah.
And if the body of this church, it's better for them to be able to come at that time, then, I don't think the Lord says in His word that the synagogue opens at 10,
No.
Or 10:30.
Yeah.
And so, it just.
I tell you something else, you were talking about knocking on doors years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was coming to church one Sunday and I was praying, and I said, God, we don't knock on doors. We don't go out, And I said, there's got to be a way. Of course, we put it on Facebook every Sunday, church time, this, that, and other. And I said, there's got to be a way. He spoke to me, and he said, put off a map of Dawson Springs and put it at every entrance. And when the church come in, have them to touch it and pray over it.
There you go.
And he said, you pray the people in. That's what we've been doing.
Yeah.
We've got a map at each door, and I give the congregation members a map. They've got a map. They took one home, and I asked them, I said, pray over it.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to pray them in. That's what we've been doing.
That's good. That's real good. And that's, like you said, you can't, it's the uncertainty of the world. Some people would be mad. I guess they used to be, but it's changed a lot. It used to be that the Lord was reverenced, and the church was looked upon in regard. And we didn't have sports on Wednesday night. We sure didn't have it on Sunday, and most all the businesses were closed on Sunday. So it's now, it's.
Yeah, I've known from playing sports on Wednesdays, and that threw me for a loop when I first looked at the schedule. I said, "This got to be a misprint." They said, "They only play on Wednesdays." And I said, "Never in my lifetime have they ever played on Wednesdays, because everyone went to church." I remember when I was going to school here in Dawson, and on Wednesdays I'd go home and get showered. One of my buddies come through, and we go to the First Baptist Church, because they had the biggest youth group in town.
Yeah.
And we'd go down there, and Miss Tanner Roberts, she was the youth director, and we'd go down there, and 25, 30, maybe 50 sometimes. They'd have couches and stuff set around. And that was around, so I got saved when I was 10, and it was because I was coming back from a basketball game, and I was on back with school bus. And a boy turned around, he says, "Have you asked Jesus into your heart?" I said, "No." I said, "But I will." And he led me through a sinner's prayer, and I got saved right there.
There you go.
So, and I started going to that youth group, and that had a lot of, play in on it too. But, not no more.
Isn't it something? No. I mean, you talking about when you got saved there. I know when I got saved, the Lord had been dealing with me. And I went to church on a revival. I mean, I had been in church, been baptized, thought I was saved and everything, and maybe I even was, but I sure didn't stick. You know what I mean? And they were having a revival out at Gillen Ridge where Jackie, she was going out there, and the Lord had dealt pretty strong with her about, she is saved and serving Him, and I got worse. Like Dave said, I'll be more vile than this, So I got more vile. It was terrible, but anyway. And the Lord had been dealing with me some. And then Brother Autry Moore was preaching revival, and he preached about a fellow said they let the devil steal his victory. And I don't know who else was in the church for sure that night. I remember a few, but I don't know anybody else that was hearing that message but me, but boy, he was all over me. And I'm gonna tell you folks, if you don't know this, be careful what you ask the Lord, because it was over, several people were still standing up, you know, and I'm standing there just, you know, hands holding on the back of the pew, and I just kind of dropped my head and I said, okay, Lord, if this is real, you just give me a sign. And about that time, now I don't know how big Brother Alfred's feet are, but they look like it's about that big, and he had on white socks, I remember that. And he came straight to me. Now, brother, there's other people standing up, okay? But he came straight to me. It's supposed to be the last night of the night. He come to me and he looked at me and he said, son, tell me, are you a Christian? And I said, I thought it was, but I don't believe I am. He said, we can take care of that. And he didn't have to walk me to the altar or nothing, you know, boy, and I could tell there was a difference that night. And, you know, and I get back and I look now, after he was back, that whole altar was full. And revival went on another week after that, you know. So and then the Lord kept knocking at me about preaching, you know. After about a year or so, he said, I mean, I'd wake up 3 o'clock every morning, and I'd be arguing with God. And I remember one time I woke up and I was talking out loud, trying to tell him why I couldn't, why I wouldn't, you know, and stuff. And so I finally surrendered. And I still joke to this day. I just feel like the Lord had a calling on Jackie's life to be a pastor's wife, and she just happened to fall in love with me, and I didn't stand a chance, you know. But anyway, but that's how mine came about. But that's pretty good on the back of a school bus.
You know, and here's the thing about it. My Uncle Ron, Aunt Janice's husband, probably about a month ago now, I took him to the spot in the road where I got saved.
Amen.
And when I pulled over that spot, the Holy Ghost come all over me. I can take you to the spot because I got something that night. I got saved. I wasn't playing.
Yeah.
You know, when I was sincere, and God saved me right there. And brother, I can take you tonight to that spot in the road. The old hog pens are still right on the side of the road. Then they had hogs in them.
Yeah.
But now they're all grown up, but they're still right there on the side of the road. I can take you to the spot right in the road. I took him and I stopped. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "This is where I got saved." It was.
Yeah, that's and it was dark that night too.
Yes.
One you could even remember.
Yeah, but I've been back several times. Now, the time when I was able to drive, years later I was able to drive, I said, "God, take me to the spot where I got saved." He led me, it's down around Smithland, Livingston.
Yeah.
So, and he led me right to the spot.
Wow.
Right down this road, pulled up.
I got family that lives down that way.
Yeah, that's where it was. So, God's good, man, I tell you.
He is. It's amazing. I tell you what he can do. I don't want to run you long. Brother Danny Green had a revival for us.
Brother Danny.
And we had a spot. We fixed it since then. I almost hated to, but the church floor had a spot just on, coming off the pulpit, stepping to the right-hand side of the altar right there, and it was a soft spot. It kind of bounced. And turned out what it was, there was 3 floors underneath that carpet. And every time they put a floor on top of the other one, they didn't line it up with the supports just right. It wasn't going to go anywhere, but it had that spring to it, and you'd think it was bad. So anyway, he hit that spot one night, and the Holy Ghost hit him. And after that, he kept talking about that, and he said, "Ooh," he said, "that's my spot." And I'm gonna tell you what, he got off that spot one night, and he walked back up and I mean, the Lord was all over him. He walked back up there and we got chairs there now, we had the benches for the choir. Yeah. And he put his foot, started to climb up on the bench, and it wasn't anchored down, and the bench flipped over. His glasses went this way, he went another way. He rolled over, got up on his knees, said, boom, 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 picked up his glasses, put them on, got up, and never missed up. He just kept on going. And he said, some of them said that bench flipped over. He said, I don't know, I just knew I didn't get my glasses. But, you know, he came down and preached one night, and I think this was that same revival. And then it snowed. Preached 1 or 2 nights, it snowed. And I said, let's just call it off. I said, we'll see what it looks like maybe next week. And he said, okay, and I think it was maybe 2 nights we got in before it snowed. So we called it off, and it was kind of a rough week. Came back and started the revival again, you might say, with another 14 days.
Was that here recently?
No, it's been a few years ago, actually. It's been a few years ago.
About 3, 4, 5 years ago?
At least, yeah.
Okay, yeah, because we was gonna come, me and Aunt Janice, and it started snowing.
Okay,
Yes, I remember that now.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we had done, and that spot was there, you know, and I remember going for one night, I'll tell you this, and and I remember standing there, and I've never cried so hard and laughed so hard at the same time. And I mean, boy, the Lord was just thick up there that night. And I don't know if it's the same night or not, but we were standing up there, the choir, or singing, you know, kind of at the end of the service, someone was singing, and then they were taking testimony. And L.D. Riley, Brother L.D. Riley, I love that man. I tell you what, I miss him. And he was a great help to our church. But anyway, he's standing there beside me. Lord, I know he'd served over many years. Don't know how many revivals he'd been to, but there was a fella on the front row from Muhlenberg County that used to be the biggest drug dealer in the county, and maybe in the area region. But anyway, he had got miraculously saved out of Brother Danny's preaching. And Brother Danny, you know, he used to be in drugs stuff bad himself. He talks about what the Lord did. And this fella, he stood up and he said, I'm going to tell you what. He's talking about what all the Lord done for him and stuff. He said, this is the first revival I've ever been to. LD Standard, he said, me too. And that's how good a revival it was. It's like, it was the first one you'd ever been to. It was that good. And I got so tickled at him over that. But it was good when God worked in a mighty way.
Well, brother, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming.
I've enjoyed it. Had a lot of fun.
I appreciate you.
I was wondering what you was going to be up to tonight. I wish you would.
I appreciate you. I really do. I love you and respect you.
God
And,
bless you.
God bless you. So, everybody, be ready to tune in next week. We'll have another special guest here. But until then, I'm going to leave you with my 3 words. Watch the Spirit.
Amen.
God bless you.
Have you ever met those who keep humming when the song's through? It's like they're living life to a whole different tune.